Yeah. So have you ever been in business and felt like you had some type of mental block when it came to making sales? You felt like it was just some part or piece that was missing that caused you, or you felt like was affecting your business? Well, a lot of times it can be found in your mindset or how you're thinking. Believe it or not, the way you think can affect how you make sales, the ideas you come up with, and it can honestly shape if you're successful or not. Let's talk about it. So, yes, a lot of us, we open businesses and start businesses obviously because we want to be successful. We want to build wealth. I don't think anybody starts a business aspiring to be broke. I mean, I don't know anybody. Everybody I know that started their business, they started it because they wanted to make money and they wanted to do better. They wanted to build wealth. They wanted to leave their job. They wanted to control their time. But you are one of the biggest factors in the success of your business or not. So, as y'all know, I always bring somebody with me. So I'm going to bring in my girl, Alex Davis. She is a CPA and CFP, and she focuses a lot on working with business owners. Like y'all know, she's an accountant, so she know about the money. She's a CFP. So to me, having those two combinations are really good because they have a wider spectrum. Nothing against anybody who's just a CPA, not saying anything against them, but you have a wider picture that you can look at when you have the knowledge on both sides. So I'll let her come up and she can introduce herself, and let me bring her in. Hey.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me today.
So go ahead, tell them who you are, tell them what you do, all of that.
Yeah, hey y'all. I'm Alex Davis. I'm a CPA and certified financial planner, and I basically call myself I'm a wealth strategist, but in a holistic manner. So I look at your whole financial picture, not just your taxes, not just your personal finances, but the full picture to make sure we understand how does it go together to make sure that you're building wealth on your terms. I primarily work with women entrepreneurs, and yeah, I'm based in Florida, and I really am all about, again, building wealth, but where it really feels good.
Okay, so honestly, I like the fact that you said like you deal with wealth, but from a holistic perspective. Because, as we continue to work and do this, or you find out that it's not about the money.
No.
The money is only but a small, very small portion of it all. And really, it's you, the person who's in control of the money. So, one of the things I really wanted to get into is have you ever, well, okay, let's talk about our businesses, ourselves personally first. Have you ever realized or figured that you had some type of mental block or anything that affected you negatively in your business?
Oh my gosh, yes, I'm in therapy right now because of it. So for sure, and the crazy part is, what I hate about these blocks and mindset is a lot of times you don't know it's there. So when I started in full-time entrepreneurship in 2021, after spending a decade doing what I did, I spent a decade in public accounting doing taxes, tax planning. So I if I don't know anything else, I know how to tax plan and tax prep. But I didn't know how to run a business, and I also didn't know how much of my childhood trauma that I didn't realize was actually showing up with
Mhm.
my money and my business today. And you don't know that it's showing up until things aren't necessarily going the way you expect them to go. And then you're like, oh shoot, what's happening? So, oh my gosh, girl, yes. We'll see how much we're gonna go into it, but yes, the answer is yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so for me, one of the places, which is why I kind of mentioned sales in the intro, is that's one of the ways that I realized that it showed up for me. When it came to selling, putting myself out there, being comfortable saying my price while I'm in like a sales call, or
Yes.
like being okay to say my price, and that's it. Like, say your price, shut up. Don't explain it. Don't
Right.
break down. Oh, well, we can talk about, you know what I mean? Like getting myself
Right.
to that point was a journey.
Yeah, same. That the same came up for me, but then also for me, even being just fully present, just actually showing up and really being seen. I found myself hiding a lot and not wanting to fully
Mm.
put myself all the way out there. So I would play, almost sabotage myself a lot of the times because I didn't want all this attention on me.
So for me, I put myself out there, but I was still sabotaging myself because, okay, you got yourself out there. Now somebody here ready to talk with you, and you could turn this into a money conversation, and you flopping. You're
Right.
flopping because you're not comfortable putting yourself in that position. And they're like, okay, well, what's your fee? What's your rate? And you're like, well, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I
And
feel
you
like,
know your rate. You know your rate. And that's the crazy part. Like, you know how much you've put on your paper that you're
but that's what
charging
I used to
over to your
do.
system. And
That's
but
what
then
I
when
used
you
to
get up there,
do.
you're like, oh well,
That's what I
yeah.
used to do. Or even just at the point where I'm having a conversation to grab the sales call or giving an offer. I had like when it came to like, I would give a wonderful presentation, but when it got time to giving that offer, baby, I wouldn't fold, but I just wouldn't give it with the same enthusiasm as I gave the rest of it. When it came to giving the information and giving the oohs, the ahs, and the aha moments, I was great. But transferring that into, okay, this is my offer, this is what I'm selling, my whole demeanor, everything would change. And I realized that it was me and what I felt about selling and how I thought about selling that was causing me to stop myself. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I definitely I relate. And then the crazy part is, and it sometimes it will come up, it depends on who I was talking to. Because there are certain people that for me, I would be very confident and I'm like, okay, this is what my price. But I found that I wouldn't always say my price when it was someone who I was close with or friends with. It was something where I did not feel like I could give them what I would charge everyone else. And it's just like, well, no, this is my business. And so I say all that to say I
It's gonna
completely
cost the
relate.
same. It's gonna take the same amount of time as anybody else, and that's but it's like we have to go through that thing. We have to go through that, and we have to process that and realize, like, no, this your price. And it's like one of the things I have to be real. I got this from, I don't know if you ever know Ashley Kirkwood. She does like speak your way to cash.
No.
Like she has a saying that says like you can never charge your worth because you worth way more than what you're charging, but you
Right.
can't charge your rate.
That's right.
So it's
I
like you
love
have to
that.
be like, oh, know your worth, and it's like, no, you can know your worth, but you priceless, boo. Like you worth way more than that price tag you putting on that package. So that's one of the things that resonated with me. That was like, you goddamn right. All the work, the time, the years, the sweat, the tears, like
Right. All of that.
right. I'm gonna bust out some bars in a second, like. Like what the hell? So,
Okay.
what is one of the things where you would make as a suggestion or that you did yourself to start transforming that mindset?
Well, one, when it comes to the price, is start practicing it at home. Like sometimes
Mhm.
saying it just at home out loud multiple times. So that way when it's time to say your price, it just comes out because you've been practicing. So while you're building the mindset work to where you just believe it, but if you've done the work to actually calculate and say, this price feels good to me. This price feels good to me. I don't feel like I'm getting over on them. I don't feel like they're getting over on me. And you settled on your price. Practice it. Practice it in
Mm,
in the mirror. Practice it in your
that's a
voice
good
note.
one.
So it goes on autopilot. And then the other part is I start thinking about what are they getting from me. And so I started thinking about, well, what is their transformation? What are their results? I sat with a client and in 5 minutes I looked at one invoice and came up with a strategy to save her $18,000. And so I'm doing this type of stuff for clients on a routine basis. When I start looking at what I'm charging, I feel more confident because I'm starting to look at what are my results that I'm getting them. And so while you're building your mindset up, actually look at what you're delivering to your clients. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when I start to think about the results I get, the chest gets a little big. I'm like, okay, well, listen, this is the price. You're lucky I'm really taking you on at this point. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not to be all
No, I understand. I understand because
you have to pick yourself up. You
exactly.
really do.
And not only that is because as you continue to meet other people in the industry, you realize that you're giving so much.
Oh, girl.
Little. You know what I'm saying? You meet somebody else and they're like, oh, this is my course. It's $1,800. And I'm like, but you just got one, two, like I'm giving a free copy of my book. I got worksheets. I got case studies. I got live Q and like, wait a minute, hold on.
All the things, right? Because you really want to see this transformation and these results.
Yes, exactly. And that's what made me realize, like, and some of it too is like being able to have conversations with other people and realize what's out on the market and what some of those things cost. So you do have to do some research also. But once you do your research, once you look at what you're offering, once you look at your receipts, it's like, okay, it's run me my point.
Listen, because the confidence start building, you're like undercharging here. And and the other thing is it's really getting facts over how much time it's costing you, that you're actually how much time it's taking you, and then what's your cost going into it. And so when you're actually even looking at pricing and being confident, actually know your numbers. I think as entrepreneurs, especially when you're not in a 9-to-5, I can speak for myself. I got complacent with time tracking. And it's really easy to spend a lot of time that you don't realize that you're actually doing in your work, and you're not capturing it. And if you're not capturing your time often, you're not going to be compensated for it. And so making sure you have some sort of mechanism in place where you have some idea of how much time does it actually cost to perform this service. And then also, what are your actual fees that you're actually, what is it costing you to deliver this?
That's what I was about to say. I see a lot of times too with like product-based businesses that they're not even factoring everything that they might have used. Like if they have something at home, they're like, oh, I had some of those at home. So it costs money.
Right.
In order for you to replace it, they're not going to give it to you when you walk in the store, right? Like, so you should be including it. And then your labor on top of it. So like they're not just paying for what products you use to make it, your labor in actually creating it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yep. That's something I see missed quite frequently. And like down to you have to go to the post office. Okay, you need to record your time for that. You need to track your miles for that because that's a tax deduction. So these types of things. But a lot of times we don't know what we don't know.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. So one of the things that I think that might not might help, but makes you start to really look at those things if you get more strategic with your finances and you get more serious, because that was another eye opener for me when it came down to, okay, well, I want to make this much money in my business. I'm going to have to sell 2,347 of that product if I'm ever going to make it to my goal. And that's another thing that you realize, like, okay, so am I going to sell 2 million of these, or I can sell 100,000 of these? Like, which one I want to do? And especially when I know that I'm giving way more than this price is worth. So that's another factor. Like when I started getting strategic, like you said, and creating budgets and forecasting and all of that, I'm like, okay, well, if I want to make this much next year, I got to focus on what's going to bring the money that I can realistically get to that. And if I'm only charging $10, $15, $25, what's the realistic, what realistically will allow me to reach that goal? So that's another thing that was helpful for me. And so I think that I feel like that's another part that we miss. Like, because that's something like, full disclosure, I started doing later in my business. Baby, I didn't forecast to nothing, didn't look at nothing, didn't plan nothing. I was just out here on a whim and a prayer at first.
Right. And that it is a disservice, but at least now having the awareness. And so I love that you're doing lives like this to make people aware, because so many of us don't. And I'm in numbers. And I did a little bit of projections, but nothing to where, you can really get down to, okay, estimating your leads, your number of leads and how that's coming in. Like you can really get into the detail, but at the very least, yes, you need to know an idea of how much money you want to make, but also how much time do you want to work? I think that's the other thing sometimes we discount. Like, do you want to work 80 hours a week? I don't know about you, but that's not my ministry.
Exactly.
And
I don't
so
want
being
to.
mindful of
I go to bed at
9.
I can't. No.
No, like that's not healthy. It's like what is now? Now listen, if that's your ministry and you like working 80 hours a week, go for it. But even when you're looking at your pricing or looking at your projections, factor in how much time you estimate these things are going to take.
That's a
and
good one.
identify, sometimes there's some products that you may like, but if they're super time consuming, actually look at what's the profit margin on that, because maybe that's not something where you need to spend your time.
Okay, so I need you to break down profit margin. So just in case somebody doesn't know what your profit margin is, this is the number that you really want to know. Like, forget how much money that you made. That really don't matter, because all that's not your money. So if you could break down like what profit margin means and why it's so important in your business.
Yeah. And so when you are looking at your profit margin, that's basically what are you taking home after you actually factor in your expenses. So revenue is a cool number, right? Everyone says, oh, I have $1 million business, but how much of that is expenses? Because if you have $1 million, but your expenses are 999,000, you don't have any, there's not very much profit. Or some of us, when you actually look at all your expenses, you might be in the negative. Exactly. And so understanding your profit margin basically is looking at, okay, how much profit, how much actual, when I walk away, how much cash am I actually taking with me? And it's important to know that, because that can help you identify, are you undercharging? What expenses can you evaluate to see maybe you need to reduce your expenses, and I didn't looking at that area. So profit margin is huge, because ultimately that's what's going into your bank account. Mm-hmm. That's the number we want to know, right? And monitoring that. So I mean, in a nutshell, that's how I define profit margin.
And to me, that's a clutch number that I don't feel like enough business owners are very familiar with. That's a number you should be very familiar with. That's a number you want to really get to know. You want to get deep into there, because that's the real difference of what you're making. Because I mean, I could sell a door, but I got to figure out how much it costs for the doorknob, how much it costs for the wood, how much it costs to install the door, how much it costs for the metal on the hinges. So the amount of money I sell this door for has to be enough that I can get all of that paid for, and I still, and however long it takes me to make this door. Exactly. So it's like, I can't just like, oh, $20 doors.
No,
people might buy it. People might buy it, but I'm not making no money. So honestly, I'm working backwards.
Correct. And so what I encourage people to do is, when you're building out, even with your pricing, look at, like, try and get down to all the expenses that it could possibly take to perform this service or this product, and then build in how much profit do you actually want. Automatically put your profit in there when you are pricing something out, because that automatically, at a minimum, you've already built in some profit. And if you think about it, that's what big chains are doing. So when you see price increasing and things like that, they've identified, oh, my expenses have gone up. Now I need to increase the sales price of this item by a certain mark, because I want to make sure I'm still getting a profit. And when you actually go in and when you start actually tracking your numbers, that's why we have to track our numbers. When you actually start looking at what does everything cost, and you start seeing, wait a minute, I'm in the red, which in the red means the sales price is less than all the expenses for this product or service. When you start seeing, oh my goodness, I'm spending all this time and I'm not getting any return on this, then you can start saying, and some telltale signs of that is, if you're having to dip into your savings at the end of the month, you don't have the profit. Mm-hmm. If you're having to go into credit card debt, there's not profit that's covering these things. And it may not be an issue if you have a strategic plan where you're saying, oh, okay, I'm taking a hit right now, but I know that maybe it's a sales, maybe you're running a sales or something, but you've done your due diligence and you know, okay, this is going to generate X amount of income in the future. Okay, cool. But a lot of us are not doing that detail of analysis. And so if your bank account is where you're having to, like I said, draw from savings, or you're going into debt, this may be a great time to start reviewing. Oh, okay, is this actually a profitable business? Is this a profitable service line? What's going on?
Okay, another one that I feel like I see people experience is being comfortable in the right room. So as we know, as a business owner, you have to get out there and have these conversations with the powers that be and the people who can make the decisions to actually hire you. But if you don't feel comfortable in those spaces, or you don't feel like you belong in those spaces, it can make it very hard to have the conversations that you need to have to take your business to the next level. Like, is that something you've seen with your clients before too?
Oh, for sure, for sure. And usually, I could do so much on my own, but a lot of times this stems from childhood or past experiences. So I tell my clients, if you probably have some things going on, I recommend a therapist. I recommend life coaching. I recommend, if you just have time to do some deep dive and do your own journey, whether it's with journaling, meditation, whatever it is, but get to the root of why you don't feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That's like ultimately that's what I would love for you to do, because it's different levels, different devils. So once you start getting to the roots, you can actually start to get mechanisms in place, start building I call it like your toolbox, to where when you get ready to go into these rooms, maybe you still get nervous, but maybe you have some sort of practice that calms and regulates your nervous system. So when you walk in there, you recognize that you are enough. You are worthy. First of all, you got invited into the room. If nothing else, they invited you in the room, so you're supposed to be there. If nothing else, fall back on that. Well, they invited me, so I'm supposed to be here. They're not just inviting everybody. So walk into it with that. And then if that feeling is coming up, a lot of times it is because we do need to do some internal work. And I'm a big component of it, because I want you to actually fix the problem. I think a lot of times we cover things up and we just go on, especially when we're busy. We're so used to just, well, I don't have time to stop. Let me just keep going on to the next thing. That works for a little bit until it doesn't. And so if you are already experienced that, man, I don't know, this person intimidates me, get to oh, why does this bother me? I just had this actually happen to me. It was like today. And I was wondering, I said, why is it when I walk into predominantly white spaces, why do I tense up a little bit? And so I've worked on not doing that. But then when we think about it, we're Black here, and we have DNA from our grandmothers running through our veins. They were in slavery. And so of course some stuff isn't even our stuff, but just to be aware of what it could be, you can start just actually breathing through it. And I tell myself, I am safe. I'm supposed to be here. Nobody's gonna mess with me. All these things, I'm willing, I'm aware of it now. But it's about really just being mindful of it. Girl, I don't remember your question, but that question it was.
But you're answering it though. You're answering it because it's the truth though. A lot of times it is stemming from childhood. And then even for us, period, it's because, I feel like personally, we grew up, don't question authority.
Right.
Do what your teachers say. Do what this so we grew up that you don't question those who might be, the decision maker or the person of authority. So I feel like that's one factor in it. And then two, society has told us for years we didn't belong in those rooms. Society has told us for years we're not supposed to. I was just in Pittsburgh at a conference, and they had this mixer we went to that was at the Heinz Museum. And they had an exhibit that was called Women's Place in History. It was basically saying in history, it was society said we were supposed to be at home and take care of the kids, and we didn't, we couldn't get bank accounts and we couldn't take care of business. But then it showed all the monumental historic movements and actions that the women, did in history. Of course they had, Ruby the Riveter, they had all of the different prominent women and who started different circles of their own or whatever in history to say what would we do if they did stay in the kitchen?
Right.
Too.
That part.
Exactly. Because what they say, well-behaved women rarely make history.
Rarely. And these are facts.
Right. So you still answered the question. You were still on the head, because it's a lot of stuff that goes back to your past. And if you find yourself not being able to break through that and not being able to make changes, you got to seek professional help, because this is bigger than you. It's above you. It's above you. So you have to go and do the work. And I tell people all the time, finances are a soul searching mission. You think it's just about the money. You think it's about getting to that goal, but it's a soul searching mission, because you will discover so much about yourself as you go through this.
Listen, and then you add business and entrepreneurship on top of it. Where I don't
Exactly.
know about you, but I grew up, it was get a good job, stay on your job,
Go to
get your
school.
business, retire. Entrepreneurship was not on the radar
I mean,
at all.
even now, like a lot of people, because been in business for a while, and the ebbs and flow of business, and sometimes I'm complaining. Like sometimes things are not going well. Business has ups and downs, and some people will be like, "Oh, well, you should just close your business." But you could come home and complain about your job every day, and they'll never say, "Oh, you need to quit."
Right.
It's like it's become just normal. You complain about your job, then you go to sleep, and you wake up, and you just go back and do it again. And it's like, I think it's again a societal thing. Like I didn't have anybody in my family who owned a business like mine. Like, you have like people who might have been, not saying a beautician is not a business, but it depends on what level beautician they are. Are they
Correct.
building their beautician business to be a big business or not? And so they don't understand. They can't grasp the concept. But for the same part, I don't understand. Like I got to learn so much more because I'm building it all from scratch. In big companies, they got people like we were talking about degree. I got 3 business degrees. Having a business degree, they didn't teach me how to start my own business from scratch. I could run the hell out of somebody else's business where they already got systems in place. They can afford to pay focus groups to go get their research. I got to do my own research or hire somebody to do my research.
On marketing. Like how many hats do you have to wear when you don't have a team? You are literally doing everything. And it's so funny because I was like, why am I so tired? It's because, girl, you're the accountant, you're the marketer, you're the salesperson, you're the administrator. You're all these things.
No, look, you're the VA and the admin assistant.
Right. It's just so much. And so you're just like, what is going on? It's a lot. And when you aren't prepared for that, it can be very overwhelming. And then you factor it not looking like the way you want it to look. Then that's a whole nother thing. And then let me add this part. When it's not looking that way and you done left somebody's good corporate job with great benefits, now there's a lot of time I'm running into clients who have shame about it, or now they're like, man, I really need to go back to work, but I don't.
It is what it is.
I don't say it like that. I say it with love. But you have to do what regulates your nervous system. I don't give a damn what someone is saying.
Exactly.
You pay your bills.
Especially with somebody who's not going to come and pay them for you.
Correct. And if you know somebody, send them my way. Hello. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry, sis. You don't have to get in line.
Yeah. I mean, you have to do what's going to regulate your nervous
system. I still have a 9 to 5. So, in the internet world where they're telling everybody, oh, your job is the bribe they give you to forget your dreams. That's only if you accept it. Because I don't know about you, but my job fueled my dreams. My job is what initially fueled my business, because you can't build a business from nothing. Everything costs money. This platform we're on right now, it costs money. It's not free.
It costs money.
Yeah. So it's like, and something has to fund that. So if I don't have a job, how is my business going to flourish or blossom? And of course, people are like, oh, well, go get grants and go get different things. But a lot of those grants have rules and criteria attached to them. A lot of them want your business to be viable. Like they don't want to just give no brand new business that haven't made any money. Here's $50,000 just for you. Because it wouldn't even make sense for them to do that.
Here's the thing. It takes work to get the grants, and you can save. My thing is just be intentional about whatever you're doing. So if you're saying, hey, I'm planning, I want to be on my own, make sure you have a nest egg to start. But more than that, I think sometimes we get in our head about this job thing. Now, if you're at a job where you're completely miserable, where it is draining you to where you literally can't function, first of all, business or not, to me, you need to be figuring out how to get out and save your health.
Correct.
Because we're not promised tomorrow. And if your health is being toiled away, I don't care what job or business it is. Figure out the exit strategy. Absolutely. Stress will kill you. It'll take you out the game so fast.
I think even when you start a business, you should start a business with the exit strategy.
Yes. I actually having what do you want the end in mind is beautiful, because then as you're building it, you have your vision.
Yeah, so you can work towards it. And I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like society or like social media, it makes a lot of things about telling people what they should do and they need to do. And it's like they can only decide what works for them. Like you say, if you stressed out, I would be on it every day. I'd be applying my life away.
Okay.
Because we got to get out of here. And I mean, I've been there before. I've been at the point where I was somewhere where I was applying every single day to get out because that, like, so I've definitely been in that situation before. So not saying like stay somewhere that you don't want to be, that you're miserable, but if you're not like ready, if you just have a business idea and you haven't even verified it's a viable, because one thing too, when I first started my business, I was going to do credit repair.
Oh, okay.
Exactly, because you had no, because my business has nothing to do with credit now. I can do like a credit info session, like I can teach credit, but I don't touch credit as far as like when I'm coaching clients. I don't do credit repair because I don't want to sit and argue with the credit bureaus about FCRA. So that to me was not a good use of my time, and I wouldn't make as big as an impact as I wanted to. But my point in saying that is when I started my business, I had no idea what it would evolve into. So if I would have just said, oh, let me leave, I would have been a broke somebody until I figured out what my business needed to be.
Correct. Baby, and that's why, listen, leverage your 9 to 5 as much as you can. Because, you know, because I was a person, I was just so burnt out from public accounting. I'm like, look, I cannot. I had PTSD so bad. I don't think I functioned halfway for the first year after public accounting. But I also recognize that that's not everyone's story. And so to your point, listening to social media gurus and all this, personal finance is personal.
Absolutely.
And that's why it's really great if you know you're not great with numbers or you need to just spitball your ideas with someone else, talk to someone, a certified professional that can actually help you, who knows the ins and outs to actually understand your story. Because I think that's what happens a lot. You know, we have these 10, 90-second, 10-second clips. Right, correct. And now it's like, oh, I'll just do no. There's nuances with this personal finance stuff. So you need to make sure it makes sense for you and your goals. That might be somebody else's goal. So you can't sit there and use their strategy.
And that's the thing, though. And here's a perfect example of that. So let's just consider businesses. So I have a business. Yes, I'm a solopreneur now, but my ultimate goal is I'm not going to be a solopreneur. I will have people. Somebody that might not be what their ultimate goal is. They might not want to build their business to be something big. So obviously our goals, our actions, the structure of our business is not going to be the same. So we're not going to be able to just do the exact same thing because we want different things in the long run. And I feel like that's a thought process that we have to know to go through. If you haven't been around people in business, you know, or you haven't had that mentorship or anything like that, it's just not something that you would know or even think of. Like we was on a live last week. We talked about how they demolished Shea Moisture and Honey Pot because they sold their companies, and that was their exit strategy. And it's a lot of things that they are able to do now because of selling that business, probably in our community, that they wouldn't have had the finances to do had they not sold it. But it's like people not understanding that aspect of, what if my child don't want to run my business when I'm not here? I need to have an exit strategy that I can get out of this business and not it just crumble and all my work go to waste.
Correct, because I see that a lot with business owners. They realize, my kids actually don't want anything to do with this.
Oh, my daughter,
and it's better to figure this stuff out to start, as opposed to you're ready to retire and their exit strategy was to sell or to pass it on to your kids, and it's like, oh, wait a minute.
And I don't want to force it. Like, you know, you don't want to try to force your business onto somebody else, and that's not her passion or something that she's interested in doing.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Correct. So if you get in front of it now, think of, just those are some things to consider for sure.
So the next thing I want to ask you is, what are some of the biggest like pitfalls that you have seen with your clients, or like helped your clients work through, or just experience, like you've seen somebody do it and it's like, oh, like you.
Yeah. You know, one of the biggest is actually just like money avoidance. It is something about looking at money and looking at your finances that a lot of my clients are just like, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. And so I think the biggest shift is actually just taking the time to look at the money. And so I was encouraged doing a money date night. If you can do it weekly, my recommendation is always sit down and look at your money weekly. Even if, don't try and say, listen, Rome was not built in a day. So I tell my clients, don't look at everything in one day, but maybe one week I'm just going to go through all my subscriptions, because I don't know about you, but those subscriptions will eat you alive. You signed up something a year ago and you don't know it's coming up until it's dinged your account.
So yes, well, two things. First, prime example, my coaching service. That's what we do. You have a weekly task that you have to do based on whatever the theme for that month is. And that's one of the things. Go look at your subscription. If you haven't used it, get rid of it. Like, because those are things that just happen, and then you put them on auto pay and you put it on this credit card and you never really see it. You never really see that this is charging you. You probably haven't touched it in a while. And let's keep it real. A lot of times this happens with the gym. We keeping it real.
That just tickled me too much.
We keeping it real. We keeping it real here. And then the next thing is avoiding it does not make it go away. And I think that's something, and that's one of the reasons why I started doing these type of things and having like normal conversations. And it's not no big PowerPoint presentation. We're not dressed up in a suit. It's not 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. Like, we're just having a natural conversation. And that's how people should talk about money. That's how people should discuss money, because it's all around you. Like Wu-Tang knew what they were talking about. Create cash rules everything around me. So you need to be more comfortable talking about it. And it could be the good or the bad. So because I deal mostly with like personal finance. I don't deal with a lot of business owners. And typically what I tell them is your BFF is your best friend. So you know how like India Ari is like, girl, you know what he did? Girl, you know what he did? Like you that's how you need to talk to your budget. Like, girl, let me tell you about this weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how we need to be, because your budget is not there to criticize you. It's not there to scold you. It is there to be your window into your wallet. It is just there to show you, okay, I know what you did last weekend, but this is how it affected your finances. So what we gonna do about it?
Right.
That's it.
And it doesn't have to be intimidating, because very much similar when I talk to my clients, like being in a relationship, to be with a man that doesn't call them for 2 and 3 months at a time. I talk to him.
And that's like your blocked many.
Like, everybody wants to be loved and talked to, and we want to know what's the plan with us. How are we doing? What are our intentions? And so when you look at it from that space, but making it fun and relatable, and so then it doesn't feel so intimidating and it doesn't seem so big. And so when you can get around avoiding it, I think that's the first step. So I see the money avoidance is one. And so and then I say the other one is, it's a worthiness issue. I see that a lot because I work a lot with women.
I can believe
and feeling like, oh, I'm not worthy enough to build this amount of wealth. I'm not worthy to charge this for my services. I'm not worthy to be in these rooms. And so working around that worthiness piece and that belief, the beliefs, like why do you, what's the root of these beliefs, and then actually working to prove that it's a lie, and really get into the place where you are confident, like, no, I belong here. I can charge these rates. And so that's another big one too.
Absolutely. Believing that you can do it, believing that this is possible for you and this is something you can do. When you don't believe you can do it, like, perception is reality. Yes. So if you have the perception that this is something you can't do, this is not going to be possible, I'm not going to be able to do it, then you're right.
You're right.
You're absolutely right. Like Jill said, if he could tell me what to do, then he could tell me what to do. But if he can't tell me what to do, then, like, if you perceive that you have the ability to do it, then you'll have the ability to do it. If you perceive that you don't, then you're right. Because you're the MVP. So,
and data has shown this. Data has shown when you tell somebody they can't do something, their grades will be lower than if you put the same group of people, you encourage them and say, yes, you can, and then their grades they test higher on their test. And it is because this is the mindset, right? Like, you really have to have that winner mentality. And if you're struggling with it, like, don't beat yourself up for it, but just start figuring out and getting some tools and working with someone to help build that muscle, because it's a muscle, especially when you have been, have had that down on yourself, not believing type of mentality, it takes a while. It doesn't change overnight. And I think sometimes when I'm working with clients and even with myself, once I know a thing, I'm like, I want it right now. But understanding that, listen, you've had these beliefs for decades sometimes. It's not going to change overnight, but it's about being aware so you can start making different choices. And I think probably the last one is scarcity, just feeling like there's not enough to go around. What if I lose this client? No one is coming back for me. And then even sometimes not willing to invest in something that's going to actually better you for the long term. So I see that with accounting work. Sometimes people don't want to invest in an accountant. But if you invest in an accountant, now your financials are in order. Now you can actually maybe go to the bank and get the loan that you wouldn't get before because
your paperwork wasn't in order.
Or I had this happen. I saved a client like $30,000 because he hadn't had his books done. And when he went the cheap route to get this bookkeeping done. I'm not gonna. And first of all, let me say this: just because you spend a lot of money doesn't mean it's always right. I'm gonna put that caveat right there. I'm gonna keep it real with you. And some of these people out here, they don't know what they're doing, right? But it was categorized wrong. He had an extra $100,000 showing up. That was a $30,000 tax bill. But once I was able to go in and actually analyze it and ask questions and uncover that, okay, this is categorized wrong, we saved money. And had he just invested in someone who was actually going to clean up and ask questions because of the level of work that had to be done, he would have saved money. But now he had to get it redone. And so I think sometimes that scarcity mindset of, oh man, I can't spend this money, it's costing too much, even though it's going to help you make money in the long run, I think that's another area that I see. And especially if you know you are someone who you don't look at money and you need help, sometimes it's start somewhere. Maybe you can't start with a one-on-one coach. Maybe it's getting a book, Get Good with Money by Tiffany the Budgetnista. I recommend that to everyone to read when you're starting on your journey. And so, yeah, that's probably the other one.
So yeah, I think those are very important ones that we have and we don't realize. And we definitely have a not investing. Like we rather try to DIY and with like I can understand sometimes it's a financial thing. Maybe you can't afford to. But for some people, you don't realize that not only are you making your journey so much longer by trying to figure everything out on your own, as opposed to dealing with somebody who can assist you. And like you did, $30,000 later, you know what I mean? Because what can he do with that $30,000 in his bank account as opposed to having to pay it to the alphabet crew?
Correct. A lot.
Exactly. I know I could do a lot with 30,000. Another thing I feel like is important is you got to examine your circle. No, for real, because you will have like you got them negative Nikishas who are always there. I don't care what you doing, they have something negative to say about it. You could be saying, I'm going to kiss the sun. Well, you sure you're going to burn your lips? I hope you got... Bruh, like you don't have nothing good to say? Or those people that I'm the type of person, after so long, I'm going to realize it and I'm going to start our conversations with what's good. Because that's what I want to know. What is good going on with you? Because every time I talk to you, it's bad, it's negative, it's you complaining about something or somebody. And I'm not saying that things are not going on, because I'm living in the same world you living in.
Right, girl.
So I got things going wrong and going on and all that stuff at the same time too. But that don't mean that's got to run my whole conversation every time I talk to somebody. And a lot of times these people will discourage you from going after your business goals. And they will talk you out of doing things because they're minding your money with their pocket. Because they don't see that they can afford it. So they don't see how you can afford it. And that math just ain't mathing for me, because our wallets are not the same. But they will literally force their beliefs, their wallet, their budget, all on you.
Now that is true. That see, and you're really good because I'm an empath, and when you come with all that negative stuff, I'll just stop talking to you. You are not bringing that mess over here.
See,
so
yes, I would give them a chance first. I would give them a chance first, and that's why I come back and ask what's good.
Yeah, no, that's why I love that. We're giving them chances. But to your point, you are correct. You do have to examine your crew, and it can be tough, right? It can be tough, especially if you're not surrounded by other people who have your dreams and your vision. And it sometimes can feel lonely to step out. But I love that because it's spot on. You have to level up your circle sometimes and get bam, look at this. You really do. You really do, because the people around you, they're influencing you. And what type of influence do you want them to have? Like, I want the person who's like, oh my gosh, girl, yeah, absolutely. You know what? I have a resource for you. You know what? I just heard you say that, and I actually know somebody, or I know something that can help you.
And that's me.
With your dream.
I don't got to know you, goddamn it. We could be in a goddamn elevator. If I know a way that I can help you or push you forward or support you. And the biggest thing that I say about me that I don't find in a lot of people is I don't have to understand why you want it. I don't have to understand what the reason is. That it is not for me to understand because it's not my vision and it's not where I'm supposed to be. So I don't have to. But if it's what you want and it's what's going to make you happy, baby, let's go.
Listen, you better go ahead and preach. You're preaching on the birthday.
I just don't understand. Well, you ain't got to understand. It's not meant for you to understand.
Listen, but you are so right. I'm very similar, except probably with my daughter. Because I'm gonna tell you, it's that mommy stuff that I'm just like, well, can you explain why you want to do that? But I'm even getting better with that. But to your point, yes, it very much is. What is you obviously have a vision, and that's the thing. You are giving your vision. You don't know what God, higher power, universe, whoever you believe in has put into your heart and your mind, and you sitting here worrying about what they're doing. No. You better get out of the way of what the Lord's doing. You better quit playing.
And I had a friend, like, so in the strength of this conversation, I had a friend. And they were like this. Every time that I said something or I would talk about something, they would always bring up the negative part about it. And I said something. I said, every time I talk about doing something, you always bring up the negative part about it. And they said, oh, well, I'm just trying to warn you because, things happen, this. And I'm like, I understand that, but you don't follow up with positive. You don't give me no compliment sandwich, like they do in corporate.
Not a compliment sandwich.
You know how they do. It was very good. We're going to have to work on your spelling and grammar. But I think if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be great. That compliment sandwich that they give in corporate America, it would be all negative. And that's what I had to point out. Because sometimes they don't realize. Like, just like we talking about childhood trauma, we talking about sometimes that's a part of theirs that they have been burnt by maybe a specific, speak English, thing that happened. Yeah. And because of that, they have this negative view. And that's okay. Let me find out.
Hello. Thank you. Because listen, the best experience is ones that you learn on your own.
Absolutely.
Because somebody can tell you all day how something is going to be, but until you actually experience, it's like,
somebody can go to a destination and be like, oh, I hated it. The food was hot. And you be over there like, it was the bomb. Like, that's my favorite spot.
Yeah. Facts.
Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things I think that's really important. Like, scanning your circle because you want to have positive people who support you. You want to have somebody who's going to tell you the truth, whether it sounds good to you or not. You want to have people who are where you're trying to be, so you can talk about your, entrepreneurial things. Like, that's one of the things I love about ThinkCon. Like, we have such a huge circle of people that's like, oh, I'm talking to this brand and with this. And they're like, oh, well, that goes like this and that. And it's like, oh, okay, thank you. Because having the right people is going to cut some of your time in between you and your goal.
So much.
Yeah. So I feel like that's something that's really, as you see, I feel very strongly about. sometimes it does, like, you're not saying that you have to like cut everybody up and not talk to everybody, baby, but you got to make some executive decisions, because otherwise you're going to find yourself miserable. And it's not even going to be because of anything that you did or is in your life, which is wild.
Right. And you only have so much time in a day. You only have so much time. And it's like really being strategic about who you're spending that time with, because you can't get that time back. Absolutely. And what I hate, and a lot of times, especially when you're an overachiever, high achiever, you tend to be the one who's always pouring into others. Woo! And if you are always pouring into others, but nobody is ever pouring back into you,
I didn't know we went to church today, but yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You see what I'm saying?
That definitely has been me. Well, I had to be like,
right. You're like, what?
2 + 2 is 4. And 3 + 2 is 5. So what is this?
Right.
I definitely had to do that. I definitely, and realized that it was a one-way street.
And it's not a good feeling, because it's like, dang, I'm depleted and I don't have anything to show from this.
Or the one time that I ask for something or actually need something to rely on you for, you can't deliver.
Like, what? What about all the 100 times? Listen.
And it's like, not even that I need to bring it up or I'm trying to bring up old stuff, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's not how this works.
So when you want to build your business, like, I know it sounds like we're not talking about business, but believe it or not, all of these things will strongly affect your business, and you don't even realize it till you get older. And when you start to drop them and you start to make these changes, I strongly believe in affirmations, saying affirmations to yourself in the mirror while looking directly at yourself. It will start to change you, and you will start to see these things. And me personally, I've seen a lot too, because I recently relocated, and I'm born and raised in Chicago. So I just relocated from mostly everybody that I've known. So, but it's been beautiful. Like, it's a clarity. It's a, you know what I mean? It's like oh my God. Like, and those are things that you don't think about or you don't realize, but you have time to sit and reflect on those things. And that's why some people don't like to, spend much time with themselves, but that's why it's important to. And I feel like all of these things, believe it or not, it will affect the success of your business. It will affect how stressful your journey might be on you. Having people that you can just call and vent to, baby.
Clutch.
But
see, this is why I always say personal is business. And if you are building a business on raggedy foundation because of your, your mindset and all these things, you may build a very successful business. But I've seen so many these 7-figure business owners who are burning their shit burning their stuff to the ground because it was on a shoddy foundation. And it was because maybe they were building off of people pleasing. And there's a lot of, I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Now that's another one. That's another one.
I can do this. No, but I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. Like, really figuring out what it is that you want, like really from a place of truly being honest with yourself, not what you think is gonna necessarily. Now, obviously, you want to make sure your business is viable, but sometimes you're building and doing stuff. I don't enjoy preparing taxes. I don't, and I built a tax business preparing taxes. It was stressing me out. I love tax planning. I love getting in there and figuring out how we're not going to pay Uncle Sam all that money legally.
And I'm sure your clients love that about you. I'm sure it's one of your better qualities that your clients love.
Right. And so I enjoyed that part, looking at the whole picture and making sure we're being strategic about it. I enjoy that part. But to sit down and key in a tax return, I want to throw up. And so, but that's what I had built my business doing. So of course I'm like, I don't enjoy doing this. It was stressful for me. But I see a lot of times we build businesses because we feel like, well, that's what everybody wants of me. That's what people expect of me. This is what I have to do. And it's like, how true is that? Mm-hmm. How true is that? And so just really being mindful of, really to your point, spending that time with yourself so you do know what it is that you want.
Now, see, that is like, it's the way that you say you're an empath and you just cut the people off. That I don't struggle with. My no game is impeccable. My no game is fabulous. It just rolls off my tongue so beautifully.
No, girl, sit it over here.
No, for real. No. And that's it. And like I say, and cut it off. Ain't no because well, no. And then you just look with that awkward.
And I love even the blink game. Listen, the blink game is solid too. No.
So like,
yes, come on now.
But it's because you, like I said, I still work a 9 to 5 and then I have my business. So when it comes to me being able to do things, I don't have the capacity. And for me, you got to create those boundaries. You have to, because otherwise,
that's another one.
I would have been. Yeah, I know, right? We could go on and on. Like we could go on and on for this. Like so seriously. It's just so many things that you realize when in business, and it goes back to what you just said. It's the foundation that you already had. So yes, you're dealing with your business, but do you not have any personal boundaries? You're not going to have any business boundaries. You know what I mean? If you have imposter syndrome in your current life, it's not going to change because you started a business. It's still there. It's still there. You're going to have to work through that. So starting a business and not working in corporate America, it's not going to solve that problem. It's not. No. Because it's going to get to that Melissa message of, are you a CEO or are you self-employed?
Come on now. Listen, she going to snatch your edges right on out.
Right on out, because it's the real question. Because honestly, if you're going from a job because you don't want to work a job and you don't like not being in control of your time, and then you're going to start a business, you know you're really going to be in the same predicament, right? Except it's just going to be for you, but you're not really going to be in control of your time, because it's the same way of you live in paycheck to pay. Now you live in sale to sale, purchase to purchase, receipt to receipt. So you're going to have to work to make the money. You know what I mean? So it's like,
listen, you've been preaching all night.
You have too.
Listen, but it's a true story. And I just wish somebody would have told me that when I started. If someone would have said, Alex, don't jump in this business, and you know you're struggling with imposter syndrome. You know you have this going on. Here, take some time and just truly iron through this before you go full throttle.
And so me, I had, you know what? That's a true mark. But for me, I didn't know I had the issue with sales until I actually had to sell. But you know what? I'm lying. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because I purposely would not take a sale. You know how they had them when we was growing up, they had all them sales jobs that was commission only. I ain't applying. Was that knife company? No. MLM? Nope. Because I'm not wanting my money to be dependent upon sale. And then I started a business where my money is dependent upon sale.
Right.
So yeah.
So how about this?
I knew.
Are you comfortable asking for a raise at work? Negotiating your salary, because for me that was a telltale sign for me, because I would just accept what was given to me. I wasn't like really paying attention. I got better towards the end, and I was like, okay, I'm not saying yes to this. We're gonna negotiate. But I remember going into it, I was like, really? I got that great? Not really seeing it. Bro, I'm managing a $10 million book of business. My managing partner doesn't even talk to his clients. He has to come to me to find out what's going on. But I'm sitting here still feeling like I'm not doing enough. Mm-hmm. So if you're in your corporate job and you feel like, oh, you could be doing better, or all these things that, to your point, that imposter syndrome, it doesn't evaporate once you decide to hang your shingles and have this business. So start exploring the root of it now. So when you step out on your own, or even if you're on your own right now and you're like, ooh, girl, y'all tugging on these edges.
If you've been
tugging on these edges, right? That was me. Just, first of all, you've got two amazing financial professionals here. Reach out, because if nothing else, we have tons of free resources. We have ways to work with us.
Absolutely.
All of the things. Don't suffer in silence, because this is the thing. When you felt it in your body, and oh man, I've just been doing this on my own. Why?
And so
you don't get a gold star for that.
No. And so that's one of the things why I felt like this conversation was important, because I feel like these are the things that people don't talk about in business. Like, people don't have these conversations when you're talking about business, but these are conversations that need to be had, because this is the real and things that you go through as a business owner. But we are ending. It is 8 o'clock. We done talked for a whole hour already. Definitely, if you want to hear this subject again or you want to talk about, drop it in the chat, put in the comments or something, and we will go and we will come and we'll talk about it again. Thank you so much for sharing your time today, Alex. I appreciate it. Like, baby, the gems, the nuggets was just falling all out.
Oh, this is great. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, we'll catch y'all on the next video.
Bye.